The Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Cincinnati Bengals today, 44-38. Russell Wilson had his best game as a Steeler. He was 29 for 38 for 414 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. If you look at the interception on the play, Taylor Britt takes George Pickens by the helmet, throws him to the turf, picks the ball off, and runs it in for a touchdown. So before the game even started, the referees gave the Cincinnati Bengals a gift to let the Bengals start the game off 7-0. The pick wasn't Russell Wilson's fault or George Pickens' fault. On the next drive, when the Steelers get the ball back, Russell Wilson goes 5 for 5. He throws a screen pass to George Pickens behind the line of scrimmage. George Pickens does his thing and scores a touchdown. Of course, George Pickens can't be without controversy. Leading up to the game in the media, saying he's only talking to the media so he wouldn't be fined. Today he gets 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties after 2 big catches, which set the Steelers back 15 yards on each play. George Pickens is never going to learn. I do not think giving George Pickens a huge contract extension is in the best interest of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm just going to leave it at that and move on and focus on the positive. Najee Harris had a really good game today. He had 16 carries for 75 yards. He averaged 4.7 yards a carry and 1 touchdown. You know, every time Najee Harris touches the ball, you could see it's do or die. He's fighting for every single inch, every single yard. I really hope the Pittsburgh Steelers give him a contract extension. I think he deserves it with his play, his attitude, and his team first attitude, unlike some of the other player on the Steelers. I really like what I see from Najee. He also killed the Cincinnati Bengals in the passing game. He had 6 receptions for 54 yards and averaged 9 yards of reception. Also rushing the ball in the day was Cordell Patterson. He had 3 carries for 16 yards. He averaged 5.3 yards a carry. Jaylen Warren had 3 carries for 9 yards and averaged 3 yards a carry. He didn't really get rolling today. But this is where Russell Wilson and the Steelers offense really hurt the Cincinnati Bengals for the victory. Russell Wilson really hurt the Bengals throwing the ball over the middle of the field today, something that's been a weakness for the Steelers all season. George Pickens had 3 receptions for 74 yards. He averaged 24.7 yards a reception and 1 touchdown. Pat Freiermuth got into a groove. He had 6 receptions for 68 yards. He averaged 11 yards of reception and a touchdown. Jaylen Warren had 4 receptions for 55 yards. He averaged 13.8 yards of reception. Van Jefferson had 1 big catch for 43 yards at the end of the game, which pretty much put the nails in the coffin of the Cincinnati Bengals. Cordell Patterson had 3 receptions for 37 yards. He averaged 12.3 yards of reception. Calvin Austin III had a good game today. He was knocked out of the game, though. He had 2 receptions for 29 yards. He averaged 14.5 yards of reception and 1 touchdown. Even Ben Skowronek had 1 reception for 23 yards. You know, Ben is more or longs known for his blocking on the perimeter. So when a guy like Ben Skowronek is catching balls downfield, you know it's going to be a great day and good for him to get involved. He's always hustling, putting the team first, and he's being asked to do the little things that makes teams win games, and he does it with the best of his ability. Michael Pruitt had 2 receptions for 21 yards. He averaged 10.5 yards of reception. And Big Country, Darnell Washington, had 1 reception for 10 yards. You know, Darnell Washington, he's another guy that puts the team first. He does all the little things that you need to do to make your team win. His blocking when he sets the edge in the run game is phenomenal. He's out there absolutely crushing guys. I love Big Country. The defense played a solid game. There was a lot of penalties. Joey Porter alone was flagged 5 times, but he did a good job of shutting down Jamar Chase and the Bengals' high potent offense. Cam Hayward had 3 tackles, 1 sack. He also deflected a pass that led to an interception by Dante Jackson. TJ Watt had 3 tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble. Then there was a huge play by Nick Herbig when the game was still kind of tight in the grasp where the Bengals had a chance to come back. He gets a sack. He forces the fumble. And Wilson picks the ball up and runs it in for a touchdown. It was a great play. The rookie has been sensational this year. He's always hustling to the ball, meaning Peyton Wilson. Nick Herbig isn't a rookie, but he's playing great football also. You know, the Steelers' defense today, a little sloppy with the penalties, but they made the plays where they needed to make them. And they also got gashed a little bit in the running game, but that's also because I think they're trying to stop the passing game first and not the running game. Overall, I give it a B performance by the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. In the AFC North matchup like this, these are games that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to win, and they did. This is not an easy game. Don't pay attention to the Bengals record. Every win in the NFL means something, and good teams find ways to win, and bad teams find ways to lose. I really like what I see from the Steelers. You know, throwing the ball over the middle of the field today. Russell Wilson had some dimes to Calvin Austin, Pat Freiermuth. He looked really good today. I was a little concerned because of Russell Wilson's age, that the colder it gets and the longer the season, that his arm might fade, but it doesn't seem to be that way. I also love the way Najee Harris is running the football. It's do or die every carry. He's fighting for every yard like his life depends on it and his contract. And I think it shows in his play. I really like Najee Harris. I hope he gets extended. George Pickens, you know, when he gets the ball in his hand, you could tell that he's something special, but he only had 3 receptions today. And on 2 of those receptions, he had 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. So I know everybody's going to say, well, look at the big playability. Look at the big playability. That's all they ever say is, look at the potential and the big playability. Well, if every time he catches the ball, he gets a 15-yard penalty after it, who cares about the big play potential? It's irrelevant. It gets wiped out. Going into this game, he had the incident in the snow game with the Browns. He had the incident with the media, and then he gets flagged twice for unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, which it's not like some pushing or shoving you can understand in the heat of the moment. They're just dumb penalties. Shooting a you-know-what into the stands and then taunting a guy, throwing the ball on his chest when he's laying on the ground. It's not a good look. Look, the Steelers know it. Mike Tomlin knows it. The Rooneys know it. Everybody in the organization knows it. This isn't the first go-around with receivers like this. Chase Claypool, Antonio Brown, San Antonio Holmes. This is not the first go-around with players like this. It never works out. We all know that it ends badly. It's time to say goodbye to George Pickens. I think we'll even be a better team with him gone. So let's keep developing our young players, Van Jefferson, and let's move on and keep the train rolling. The Steelers are now 9-3 in control of their playoff and Super Bowl dreams and hopes. It was a fantastic victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers.